Amagyanandasya Gnanajansalakaya Chakshurunvetam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Hey Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, verse 29. बुद्धेर्भेदं धृतेश्चैव गुणतस्त्रिविधं शृणु प्रोच्यमानम् अशेषेण पृथक्त्वेन धनञ्जय. O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination according to the three modes. Intelligence and determination, understanding or intelligence, buddhi, and dhriti, determination. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha karya-karye bhaya-bhaye bandham moksham cha ya veti buddhi sa partha satviki. That understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. So this is very important. So we should have buddhi in the mode of goodness. That means we should know what ought to be done, what should not be done, what has to be feared, what should not be feared, what is binding, what is liberating. Performing actions in terms of directions of scriptures is called pravritti, or executing actions that deserve to be performed. And actions that are not so directed are not to be performed. One who does not know the scriptural directions becomes entangled in the actions and reactions of work. Understanding which discriminates by intelligence is situated in the mode of goodness. So the important part here is discrimination. So we have to discriminate. So multiple times I've told this before also. We should not be blind in bhakti, thinking that everything is spiritual. No, everything is not spiritual. Everything seems spiritual. That is because of our lack of understanding. So we have to know what ought to be done, what ought not to be done. Even on the platform of bhakti, we should know what is to be feared, what is not to be feared, what is binding, what is liberating. And we should discriminate, meaning when we see something, we should be able to say, oh yeah, this is right, oh this is wrong. That is discrimination, right? So we have to discriminate. We have to discriminate what kind of instructions we follow. We have to discriminate what kind of devotees we associate with. Everything we have to discriminate, because not everything is pure. Not everything is pure, right? In Bhagavatam, we understand that bhakti also, there are devotees who are performing bhakti in the mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. So all kinds of things will be there. We should not be naive, meaning innocent, just thinking that everything is perfect. We have to discriminate. We have to discriminate. We have to discriminate what we hear. When we hear, we should be able to discriminate whether the person who is speaking is saying right or wrong. But how will we be able to discriminate if you have not read Prabhupada's books? Then we'll think, oh, it's also nice. It might all be nice, but it might not be the right things. How do we understand this? See, the whole Shastra is a very complicated thing, right? I mean, it's not so easy that, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's the end of it, right? Like there's so much of knowledge out there, right? And this knowledge has to be like synthesized, meaning it has to be, the essence has to be understood. When the essence is understood, only then proper dissemination of knowledge happens. So, for example, many people in ISKCON actually they don't believe in Varnashrama. Now, when we don't believe in Varnashrama, then so many things that Prabhupada is saying in his purports, we have to ignore, right? For example, in Bhagavad Gita, Striyo Vaishya Tatha Shudrastepi Anti Param Gatim. Now, this verse, where Prabhupada clearly says, saying that women are not intelligent. Now, this has a reason, but because we don't like to say something like this because it might offend somebody who is a feminist, then we will go about beating around the bush and we will just finally just put that statement to a side. We will not speak about that. And in fact, you would be surprised to know that there are people who are supposed to be protecting our Shastra, our books. There's a committee for that. And they were thinking that, let's remove some of these statements because it's not helping us preach. I mean, and these are like top people, top people. Why? Because they don't like Varnashrama. They don't like the position and to understand portion of women, portion of men as per Shastra. They say, no, people don't understand. People don't like this. So let's take it off. So you might be hearing from such people and, very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate. But then they'll say Varnashrama is not for us. Varnashrama is for ordinary people who don't do bhakti. And then they say, oh, on the platform of bhakti, we can just take everybody as a soul, spirit soul. Meaning we don't have to discriminate male, female. How can it be? How can it be? I mean, I'm saying it's a very simple thing to understand that it's impossible. We have not reached that stage where we can just look at everybody as spirit soul. So we have to discriminate. And that's the reason Prabhupada made the discrimination, right? Like in the temple, Prabhus have to be separate, Madajis have to be separate. Otherwise, why this discrimination? Why this separation? So please be careful what you are hearing. It's very, very unfortunate, but it's a major impact today in ISKCON. That people are giving up certain aspects of Prabhupada's purpose as impractical, not doesn't make sense. Modern people cannot understand. So let's not discuss these things. Let's keep it aside. The essence is bhakti. Let's talk about bhakti. But the bhakti is not going to remain in its pure form if you don't follow the other tenets. Right? Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatrik Vidamina Aikantike Harir Bhakti Utpata Eva Kalpate. Utpata, it just causes disturbance. And we have seen in the lives of so many devotees that this, lack of proper discrimination has created disturbance. So we have to be careful. We have to discriminate. Please don't close your eyes, ears, and just believe, oh, everything is perfect. Whoever is speaking in ISKCON is perfect. No, if they're speaking what Prabhupada is saying, then it is perfect. But unfortunately, many people think that they are above Prabhupada. I mean, and this, not saying this to offend anybody, but we have to follow Prabhupada. We have to follow what Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada said books are the basis. So we have to do this. We cannot be blind. Yeah, Akshay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, like you said that they wanted to remove some of the parts of purport or modify it. So the other organization, right, Hare Krishna movement. So they say that they have separated because already many changes have been done.
No. Okay, that is nonsense actually. See, okay, I'll explain what that is. So there are editors, right? So there's Gopi Parananda Prabhu, then there was Jayadvait Maharaj. No, all of them were on the editing committee of Prabhupada, of BBT, right? And they were appointed by Prabhupada only. No, see, we should understand. It's a very simple thing. For example, now Preeti Mataji is trying to, transcribe my lectures. Okay. So now when she's hearing certain things, she's not able to understand what I'm saying. No, she's clarifying with me. Right now, if suppose say before this clarification, somebody heard something and didn't get clarification, and then they printed the book. They printed something or posted something. Right now, somebody else who's doing a more thorough job possibly looked at it and said, "Hey, no, no, no. See, this looks like first of all, the word that has been used seems wrong." For example, in Bhagavad Gita, in one place, uh, there was instead of saying pitris, pitris means ancestors. So initial version was trees, trees. The word Pitriloka means the loka of trees, the place of Pitri. So it had become place of trees. I mean, it's a gross mistake. No, if somebody came and corrected this, is that wrong? Because it was not Prabhupada's mistake. It was an editing. It was a mistake while possibly transcribing, while typing, or whatever it is, right? And somebody figured saying that this is about nonsense. I mean, how can it be like planet of trees? It's planet of ancestors, Pitris. So that was done, and then these people are saying, no, 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 how can they do that? I mean, there's nothing wrong in what they did. But this was with a very different intention to fix mistakes, but not that, pre-established concepts are being taken out or edited or diluted or sidelined. That has to be avoided. Editorial mistakes, and there have been long like substantiations given by those editors also saying what those changes were, why those were done, history of why it even happened in the first place. All that has been given. But anyway, Hare Krishna movement is a different ball game, so we'll not talk about it. But yeah, for us, we have to be very clear. And Jayadvaita Maharaj is still existing. He's still in front of us, manifest in this material world. And very clearly, he substantiated these changes. Yeah, but some of these other things that are happening are not appreciated.
Okay. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, it's very controversial, but the point I'm trying to make is that we have to discriminate. Discriminate. That's the whole thing. And the basis is actually for us still our Prabhupada's books, right? And concepts given in Prabhupada's books have to be understood. They have to be incorporated in life. It is okay to understand that we are not ready to understand or incorporate something in our life, but doesn't mean that we just reject it, saying that I don't want this, I don't like this. I don't like this because other people don't like this. And who are these other people who are trying to come into Krishna consciousness? That means that now we are modifying our philosophy to suit people who are coming to Krishna consciousness. While ideally, people coming to Krishna consciousness should modify themselves to understand the philosophy. Either that it is not spoken about or it is diluted. One of them. So discrimination is important. Yeah. यया धर्मम् अधर्मं च कार्यं चाकार्यमेव च अयत्थावत् प्रजानाति. Oh,
Hare Krishna. I think Prabhuji got disconnected. Just one minute.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, I got disconnected.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam cha karyameva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhissa partha rajasi. That understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. Right? So, very simple. Adharmam dharmam itya manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamscha buddhissa partha tamasi. The understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness and strives always in the wrong direction is in the mode of ignorance. So this we have to completely avoid. See, at least here, okay, we cannot distinguish. Here we are intentionally we are going in the wrong direction. This is worst, right? Intelligence in the mode of ignorance, always working opposite way. It should always. You say left, the devotee will go right. It accepts religions which are not always religions and rejects actual religion. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as great soul. So the whole world is doing this, right? They don't respect, they don't treat devotees with respect, and they will give a great position for some common man. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, the intelligence is in the mode of. So we should completely avoid this. See, this is the reason why there is so much emphasis on Shravanam, right? Because unless we read Prabhupada's books, unless we read scriptures, how will we know what is right, what is wrong? How will we know what is religion, what is irreligion? So we have to read, we have to hear. And like I'm saying, don't compensate hearing for reading. Meaning, instead of reading, you just hear. Right. So these sessions that I'm doing, I don't consider it as hearing. I consider it as reading because we are actually reading. Right. And when we are reading exactly what Prabhupada is saying. Now, hearing means simply just like a class. Right. No, don't replace reading by hearing, meaning you just not that we just hear and then we don't have any time for reading. So in your sadhana chart, you should put our sessions as reading, not as hearing. These sessions, I don't consider them as hearing. I consider them as reading because we're actually reading and we are trying to understand. It's like few of us are sitting together, reading Prabhupada's books, discussing. But unfortunately, we are still not reached discussion stage. But that's the whole intent of this, right? So we should read Prabhupada's books because then we know as it is what is being said. Only then we can actually discriminate, we can know what is right, what is wrong, etc., etc. when we hear from other people, either in classes or in action. The hearing doesn't mean just sitting in a class. Somebody is doing something which is wrong. Now, how do you know whether it's wrong or right? You have to know from Prabhupada. Prabhupada is our Shiksha Guru. Please, we should never forget this. Okay, now Krishna will talk about determination. This is very, very important. Dhritya yaya dharayate manah pranendriya kriyaah yogenabhyabhicharinya dhriti sa partha satviki. That determination which is unbreakable. See, determination should be unbreakable. And how is it maintained? How is it sustained? Sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice. Steadfastness also means fixed, being fixed. And which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, determination, the mode of goodness. So this is very, very important for Krishna consciousness. So we should have determination. We should make up our mind to follow rules and regulations, and this determination should be unbreakable. Okay, but when we will say no, my determination is not so strong, what should I do? It should be sustained with steadfastness in yoga practice. Right? So which means that unless we become fixed in sadhana, We cannot get this determination to actually follow other standards. Basic we have to follow is getting up early in the morning, chant Hare Krishna. And steadfastness. Steadfastness means, like, let's see what dictionary means. Yeah, unwavering. Yeah, so like for example, here what we have to do every day we have to do unwavering, right? Every day. So if we are doing some sadhana, we have to do it every day. If we do like that, then the determination becomes unbreakable. And then we will get the strength. And this is called spiritual strength. It controls the activities of mind, life, and senses. Yoga is a means to understand the Supreme Soul. One who is steadily fixed. One who is steadily fixed in Super Soul with determination, concentrating one's mind, life, and sensory activities on the Supreme, engages in Supreme Krishna consciousness. That sort of determination is the mode of goodness. So Prabhupada is saying that one who engages in Krishna consciousness, that determination is the mode of goodness. The word abhyabhicharinya is very significant for indicates that persons who are engaged in Krishna consciousness are never deviated by any other activity. See, this is what we have to do. And this can be achieved only by association. If we are not able to do it ourselves, then we have to associate with devotees who are steadfast. And when we do this, then the determination which is unbreakable will get established. That means that then we will not get deviated. We will not give up. Whatever we have made up, whatever our sadhana vows are, whatever we have committed, then we will stick to them, stick to those. And how will we know if our determination is unbreakable, whether it is steadfast? Then we control. We are able to control mind, life, senses. Mind wants to do all kinds of nonsense stuff. But once his determination is unbreakable, whose determination is the mode of goodness, will say no, nonsense. I want to engage in Krishna consciousness. I don't want to engage in anything else. That is determination, the mode of goodness, and this is absolutely required for us to make progress in Krishna consciousness. Yaya tu dharma kamarthan dhrityadharayate arjuna prasangena phala kankshi dhriti partha rajasi. Determination which one holds fast to fruitive results. In religion, dharma, artha, kama is nature of passion. So somebody is very determined to achieve dharma, artha, kama. That is determination mode of passion. It was only desire, sense gratifications, mind, life, and sense disengaged. Yeah. So the mind fully engaged, determined to achieve dharma, artha, kama. This is mode of passion, determination mode of passion. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madameva cha na vimunchati durmedha dritisa partha dhamasi. That determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, simply dreaming. Oh, I want to achieve this, I want to do this, but nothing, no action. It's just dreaming. And fearfulness, oh, I am afraid of something, which is again determination in mode of darkness. Or lamenting, oh, why did this happen? I should not have taken this decision. Moroseness, illusion, unintelligent determination. This is the mode of darkness. Okay. So which means that, we should go beyond dreaming, meaning we don't simply keep saying, okay, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this, and not get to doing it at all, simply in the mind. That we should move away from that. It should not be concluded that a person in the mode of goodness does not dream. So Prabhupada is saying dreaming doesn't mean that mode of goodness doesn't dream. Here dream means too much sleep. Dreaming is always present, either in mode of goodness, passion, or ignorance. Dreaming is a natural occurrence. But those who cannot avoid oversleeping, who cannot avoid the pride of enjoying material objects, who are always dreaming of lording it over material world, and whose life, mind, and senses are thus engaged, are considered to have determination in the mode of ignorance. So Prabhupada is saying three things here. Oversleeping, pride of enjoying material objects. They're very proud. Oh, see, I have this, I have that. Pride of enjoying material objects. Always dreaming to lord over material nature. And considered to be in their determination mode of ignorance. Okay. Sukham tva idanim trividham shunu me bharatarshava abhyasadramate yatra dukkantam cha nigacchati. Now Krishna is going to talk about happiness in three modes, by which he sometimes comes to the end of distress. So when one comes to know about the three kinds of happiness, by knowing that itself, sometimes one can come to the end of distress. So we'll understand what that means. Conditioned soul tries to enjoy material happiness again and again. Thus he choose punapuna charvita charvananam. But sometimes in the course of such enjoyment, he becomes relieved from material entanglement by association with the great soul. In other words, a conditioned soul is always engaged in some type of sense gratification. But when he understands by good association that it is only a repetition of the same thing, and he is awakened to his real Krishna consciousness, is sometimes relieved from such repetitive so-called happiness. So this is what Prabhupada is saying, that he will come to the end of all distress. So that means that when his happiness, he will see and say, oh, this is not real happiness. And then when he comes in association with a great soul, he realizes, oh, this is not real happiness. Then he will get out of that so-called happiness, which is the reason for his distress. So let me explain that. Yattadagre vishamiva pariname mrutopamam tatsukham satvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadacham. That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization, is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness. So this is the happiness we have to seek. And beyond this, Shuddha Sattva, in association with devotional service, right? But at least if we recognize that, okay, something, a process of self-realization, it doesn't have to be bhakti. Even just, it could be gnana, dhyana, whatever it is. Right? Any of those practices, doing those practices, it might be just like poison in the beginning. Oh, getting up early in the morning, what a pain. Getting up in cold weather, what a pain. But at the end, it will be nectar. When it will be nectar for devotees, when we get Krishna's association, it is nectar. So Prabhupada is saying, in the pursuit of self-realization, one has to follow many rules and regulations. One has to follow. Can't just say no. Sometimes I tell this to Mataji, sometimes I've heard that we have become so elevated that we can actually, Matajis can enter the temple even when during their unclean period. And we think that we are transgressed all these rules and regulations. These rules and regulations are for normal people. We are in Raganuga stage. And we don't care. No, this is a complete Tattva Vibhrama, illusion. It is not Tattva at all. There are no rules which have been given to us which we should not follow. Please understand this. There are no rules which should not be followed. Whatever Prabhupada has given in terms of rules have to be followed. And this has to be followed. Why? To control mind and senses. If we don't follow rules, then we just let our mind and senses to act whatever way they want, and then we are gone. Right? Because then the mind will just misbehave and it will again fall back to its original woes, which is material. So all these procedures are very difficult. Very difficult. Bitter like poison. Some are fortunate that they don't find the procedures difficult. Actually, the procedures are not difficult. But because we are so conditioned, we feel that the procedures are difficult. Bitter like poison. But one is successful. If one is successful in following rule regulations, comes to a transcendental portion, he begins to drink real nectar, enjoys life. This is real enjoyment of life, real enjoyment, ananda. But that will come only when one is successful in following regulations and comes to the transcendental position. See, to come to the transcendental position, one has to follow rules. We cannot jump. We cannot take shortcuts. So unless we follow rules and regulations, we will not come to the transcendental position. Unless we come to the transcendental position, we cannot drink real nectar. Today we are drinking something which is just uh, illusory happiness, which is in the next two verses. But this is where we have to get. We have to come to the transcendental position. And to come to the transcendental position, we have to follow rules. No question of not following rules. And Prabhupada is saying this is all difficult. It's like poison. But it will give us real nectar at the end. Real nectar is to actually understand our, constitutional position and serve Krishna in that constitutional position. That's when we actually experience real nectar. That is real enjoyment of life. And so we should understand this, right? Otherwise, we'll be stuck in the second verse. Vishayendriya samyogad yattadagre mroto amritopamam pariname vishamiva tatsukam raja samsmritam. That happiness which is derived from contact of senses with their objects, sense gratification, which appears like nectar at the first, but poison at the end, is said to be in nature of passion. Young man and young woman meet, and the senses drive the young man to see her, to touch her, and to have sexual intercourse. In the beginning, this may be very pleasing to the senses, but at the end or after some time, it becomes just like poison. They're separated, or there is divorce, there's lamentation, there's sorrow, etc. Such happiness is always in the mode of passion. Happiness derived from a combination of senses and sense objects is always a cause of distress and should be avoided by all means. Please note this statement. Happiness derived from sense gratification is always a cause of distress and should be avoided by all means, because it looks like nectar, no, but it's actually poison at the end. Why is it poison at the end? Because it's going to bind us. It's going to bind us in this material world. And the happiness in mode of goodness, it looks so difficult, but it will take us out of this material world. It will remove us from the bondage. Yadagre chanubande cha sukham mohanam atmanah nidralasya pramadothan tattamasam udaratam. That happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is also a part of mode of passion also, because sense gratification also is blind to self-realization. Happiness in mode of ignorance is also blind to self-realization. But here it is delusion from beginning to end. Delusion, moha, and it is arising from sleep, laziness, illusion. So there's no action here at all, right? It's all just laziness. One who takes pleasure in laziness and in sleep is certainly in the mode of darkness. And one who has no idea how to act, how not to act, is in the mode of ignorance. And how to act, how not to act is also mode of passion, but also ignorance. For the person in mode of ignorance, everything is illusion. There's no happiness either in the beginning or at the end. For at least mode of passion, there is happiness in the beginning, but it results in poison at the end. But for the one in mode of ignorance, there's no happiness at all. For the person in mode of passion, there might be some kind of ephemeral. What is the meaning of ephemeral? Temporary, transient, temporary. Right? So some temporary happiness in the beginning and the end, distress. But for a person in a mode of ignorance, there's only distress, distress, and distress, both in the beginning and at the end. Okay. So very, very important verses. Please read these purports again. Okay, because we have to really, we should steer away from intelligence in mode of passion, ignorance, determination from in mode of passion, ignorance, and happiness in mode of passion, ignorance. So we should be situated in goodness at least. with respect to all these qualities. So the whole idea, like I said, of these verses is to see, okay, I am in mode of passion for determination. I'm in the mode of ignorance for happiness. I'm in the mode of this for something else, whatever, right? And then slowly understand that, okay, I have to change, I have to move, I have to move, I have to move away from this, right? Um, so this is what has to be done. And that consciousness is first important, right? That I know that I'm on the wrong path, that I'm stuck somewhere at lower level, and then just by being conscious of that fact, saying that I'm like, yeah, a little bit a lower stage, engaging in bhakti in the association of devotees who are at least situated in goodness, if not transcendence, will help us come out of this. And we should come out of this. If you don't come out of this, there's no question of transcendence. See, achieving Krishna is not a joke. It's not like I'm just doing some nonsense and suddenly Krishna will come and say, oh, okay, you're doing nonsense, it's okay, but I like your nonsense. Now I'm giving myself to you. That's not going to happen. So nonsense has to be stopped. So we have to come out of these modes. We have to come at least to the mode of goodness and then transcend it. So we have to please read these purports again. Small purports, right? But deep meanings. So important. Okay, any questions? Okay, good. All okay. All okay or all not okay, I don't know, but no questions. Okay. Bhagavad Gita की जय जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Hare Krishna.